Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Hi, Eva. I'm Dinette from HorseGrooms, and we're really happy that we can be here, that Ruthann of Lucky Braids is doing this because her shampoo is pretty amazing, really good for the skin of the horses. And I think it's really good that the founder and the one who knows everything about it is going to tell us about it. And whether you want to use it or not, that's totally up to you, but I think you'll learn a lot from it anyway. So we love it. We love to share knowledge, and I'm really happy that Ruthann wants to do this. So
thank you,
take it.
Thank you, Dinette. Thank you, Coral, for having me. So, what I'd like to do to start is to just know your name and maybe what you're hoping to get from today, because it's not just about my products. It's about solving problems, and we can all learn from each other. So, I'm spent my life being all manes and tails and coats. Like, that's my thing. So if you have any particular issues that that you want to be sure I cover, I'll be happy to. And I'd like to know your names or maybe a little what you do quickly.
I'm Gracie.
Hi, Gracie.
I have used your shampoo and it's amazing. Like I feel like combing the tails is so much easier. Like when it says in the bottle, it's wet. And I feel like their clothes are really shiny and soft for a while, for a couple of weeks.
Hi.
But I would like, if you have any tips on like when the tails get stringy, is that like we need to use it more frequently or what?
When they get thin?
Yeah, or like just kind of like stringy. Is it like, I've heard some people say, okay, never comb it out if it's stringy, or
okay,
or what would be a good solution for that?
I'll definitely cover what my suggestions are.
Yeah.
So I've actually followed you I actually learned to braid with your DVD.
Oh,
That's how.
Wow.
So, and just everything that you've always talked about, like blanketing, tails and manes and everything. So
you're here with your idol.
And also I've used your shampoo and products forever and love them. Like there isn't anything that comes close. Really good products.
Thank you. What's your name?
Especially Maureen.
Maureen. Honestly, I didn't do this because I thought people would know who I am. But it's so nice to be welcome. But so anyway, at least we start with people realizing that I'm not gonna sell you a song. I really, really want to help you. Like, our lives are hard with horses, and it should be easy. It should be easy for the horses to be comfortable in their skin. But there's some like fundamental flaws in conventional care that have set us up for managing problems all the time, and we don't want to have to do that. It should be easy, and we should just be able to love on our horses and have them have big hearts to win. So that's the goal.
My name's Annabelle, and I groom down here. I've been like grooming down in Florida for a few years now, and I came because I saw that this like works good for like scurf and like skin stuff, and like most of our horses are pretty good, but there's like a couple like light colored ones that like are more prone to it. So I'm just like going through the different products that can help.
That's really astute, realizing that the light color horses are more prone to problems.
Yeah.
Because of the products that we use, and also because it's like having fair skin.
Exactly.
Did you want me to take? Okay. Hi, I'm Jane.
Hi, Jane.
And yes, I have a pink-skinned horse. He's multicolored, and he just loves to be dirty. So I really liked when you said about stain prevention.
You know what? The light-colored horses tend to get more dry, so they roll more. And because they're dry, they suck up the dirt.
Yeah.
What if they weren't dry?
Okay. He's just itchy.
They wouldn't
and dry.
rub so much. They wouldn't be so itchy. Like, we can solve so many things in really simple ways. So
and I've never seen him shine. I don't know whether
because
he's
dry.
Light horses just don't shine. Maybe. Is that what it is?
No, they's dry.
They do.
He's dry. It's the oils that make them shine. Have you seen that Keel horse at Keel teak horses? They look metallic, and if you look at their hair under a microscope, it's really smooth. And if you look at regular hair under a microscope, it's really porous and rough. So the way we make them shiny is by making the hair smooth. That's why grooming a lot brings out the oils. The oils go down, and then the hair becomes smoother and shinier. And so it's really about moisturizing, whether we do it with the however we do that. And conventional moisturizers that everybody sells just clog the pores and attract the dirt. So my experience.
I'm Vivian, dressage rider. I'm just here I love learning more information. It's one of the best
Excellent.
things about being here in Wellington
Yeah.
is all the information we can learn and share.
Thanks for coming. The wise man says what? I don't know. Right? That's how we get better.
I'm Lisa. I'm also a dressage rider. And when I come down here right now, I've got a horse that's struggling a little bit with the hives from the sand, freshly clipped from Northern Virginia coming down here. So if any tips on that other than what I've been trying, anything to help
Oh
him
my God, this
soothe.
is so fun because you've been trying everything, right?
Yeah, a
It's
lot
so
of things.
easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Hi, I'm Katie.
Hi,
I'm an
Katie.
inventor, and I am interested in just care for horses that get the scratches. I do a lot of thoroughbreds, and they're very sensitive. And also just learning about more products that provide great finishes for body clips. Do a ton of clipping.
Oh,
So,
good.
and I love a lovely body clip. So, yeah.
Yeah, nothing like when
Oh,
they
yeah.
flip out
Yeah.
beautifully.
Yeah.
The highest compliment is what? What's the highest compliment for a clipped horse?
There's no lines.
Is that horse clipped?
Yeah, is that horse clipped? Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sophia. Honestly, I'm just here because I want to learn. All type of aspects of anything of learning, I would love to learn. My horses are out in turnout almost all the time, and they have runouts with the sand. So if there's any tips and tricks on how to keep their coats even better, since they keep on rolling on sand because that's where they are 24/7, that's something I would love to learn about.
Yeah, let's
They're
protect
shiny,
them.
but like I know that, for example, if they had a little bit less turnout, I know they would be like less unbleached and stuff like that. But I don't want to compromise the turnout because I want to keep the coats shinier. That's my biggest thing right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bibi, and I've been grooming and managing for many years in Wellington. I have used the product; it's incredible. The horses clip amazing when you bathe them with it, and I just love to learn, so that's why I'm here.
Hi, I'm Josie. I'm a groom. I've been grooming for a couple of years now, and I also just want to learn as much as I can. I have a couple horses that I use some products on to kind of help the moisture. The sand kind of dries them out. They get a little like bumpy, itchy here and there. But BB actually invited us tonight, and so me and my friend Matt. So yeah, I'm just excited to learn. Do you want me to go?
Thank you.
I'm Matt. I'm a stable hand and apprentice groom. And yeah, I'm just here to learn more.
This is such a tiny mic. I'm Emmeline. I'm a barn manager, and I just love learning things, and I like knowing how to keep their coats happy and healthy. So that's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a dressage rider, and I just want to know what the best shampoo is. And I haven't used your products before, but it's kind of sounding like from everybody else's reviews that it's great. So I'm excited to try it, and I wanted to know more about like stain prevention and whatnot. So I'm really excited for this.
Oh, good, good.
Hi, my name is Dale. I'm new to being a groom, so I'm just here to learn and take in anything I can from this. So,
Hi, I'm Eva. I just love learning tips from different grooms and what other kinds of methods there are and trying different products. So I'm really excited to try this and learn, see what you have to recommend about it.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Caleb, and I am a groom and rider, and I'm excited just to see what I can do to be better for my horses.
Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm a groom, and I have my first gray horse that just came over here from Europe, and so her skin and coat is perfect right now, and I want to keep it that way.
How long has she been here?
3 weeks, but she was in quarantine, so there was no baths or anything in quarantine. So I'm trying to keep, like, obviously her showers and everything at the minimal. And yeah, I used that last year on a horse that we had that had terrible skin, and that shampoo helped him so much. So I'm really excited to just learn more today.
Yeah, great. Sometimes when the horses come from Europe, they take a wicked skin shock and their tails will sometimes fall out, but we can help that. We can help that. Cut it off at the pass. Wow, this is such a big night. Thank you everybody for coming.
Hi, I'm Leah. I work in a dressage barn, and I'm also here to just learn more and try new things and see what is best for the horses.
Hi, my name is Alice, and I am a groom, and I'm looking forward to learning more about Lucky Braids.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm also a groom. I'm here to learn more, and also we have a horse at our barn who has horrific skin allergies, so we're hoping to find something that could help him.
Hi, I'm Lynette. We're from Massachusetts, not from here. I'm a,
Me
see
too.
that? I knew we were friends. I'm barn owner. I have one horse that we use Lucky Braids on all the time. He's a gray with fecal water, and it's absolutely amazing for his tail. Could use a little bit more, so I could use some tips on how to get it a little bit better for show season. But yeah, I love the product and love to hear some more tips.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marissa. I'm an event writer and groom, and I kind of just want to learn more about Lucky Braids. It's my top choice for like when I'm going to clip my horses. So figuring out what else it's like best towards too.
Hi, I'm Jillian, and I'm a groom, and I'm looking to learn more about your product.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a groom and a barn manager, and I have a barn full of gray Spanish horses. So I need all the tips I can get.
We love hair, and white especially.
Hi, I'm Clark. I'm a groom and a barn manager, and we have one gray horse that always is disgusting. So I'm looking to learn more about that.
I'm Rick. I'm here with Clark, and she has a very gross tail.
You have a what?
Yeah, the horse that is gross.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Diva. I am new in this world. I just moved close to Wellington about a year ago, and I just started working with horses a couple months ago. So I'm here to learn.
Thank you. So this is exciting that everybody wants to learn, and I'm really flattered and honored that so many people have tried my shampoo. I also want to thank Piper Clem for being here. She's the media mogul behind the Plaid Horse, and everybody here wants to learn, and she is so committed to promoting education and setting people up for success. So I'm really honored that she's here tonight and appreciative. And so you should look for the Plaid Horse. And she's a great writer, and she really touches on some sensitive topics. So there's like a lot of depth from what you can learn from her. So. And she uses shampoo too. So I'm really appreciative. Okay, so here we are, and in Florida, where skin is of the utmost concern. I just wanted to give you a little background. What brings me to this place in life? We talked about we'll talk about where I come from, some of the problems and myths and solutions, and then also hopefully we'll have time that I can touch on some of my mane and tail pet peeves at the ring, where turnout can be so much better and it's so much easier to do things right. There's a couple things I see happening all the time that we can fix. And then, if you have any questions after, we can do that too, because I'm here for you, right? So we touched on the problems in Florida, especially skin and, hair breakage and staining. Who here has cabinets full of products? Right? Tons of grooming products, but you still have the scratches, stains, tangles, bumps, itching, rubs, the whole shebang, and then you keep trying stuff, right? You've tried everything. Who's tried everything? Right. And then you're still managing these problems. So what's happening? What's happening? I've been consumed with manes and tails since I made my cake for my, I think, 9th birthday. And then I took care of the first dressage horse that medaled for the United States. Monaco was first in the country, 5th in the world. So I took care of him from the time I was 9 to 19. And you can see he's gray, and he has that tail that, like, I was consumed with trying to make that tail, you know, do him justice, right? I was too young to go to the games with him at the time. Now it would have been a media sensation, but then he was my horse. I took care of him, but I didn't get to travel, but it made me like froth for always wanting to travel with horses and always wanting to learn more. And I was brought up by an Olympian that was really disciplined. And we had who ended up, Ernst Bachiner ended up being director of the Spanish Riding School of Vienna to come train. So it was like always leveling up, like nothing was taken for granted. We wanted everything to be better. So I was, you know, brought up in that mentality of always looking harder and being better. Even though I was little, I was like totally committed. I would work till late at night. I braided everyone in the barn when I was 10 years old. I was full on. But that tail taught me a lot. First off, Monaco taught me what generosity is, what honor is, what it is to have a big heart. And, you know, he really taught me a lot about being a good person. And he taught me a lot about grooming, because that tail, in those days, everybody said, don't touch the tail, don't touch the tail. You don't want to break the tail. And sometimes you still hear that. But that is not my experience. I braided more than 12,000 manes and tails. If you don't touch the tail, then when you need to get it looking good, you end up damaging it more. So it's much better if we come up with a way that we can maintain it easily and strengthen the tail instead of, you know, letting it hang dead and depleting it. So, and getting it white, right? I tried everything. But, you know, I wasn't really bent on riding. I broke babies for an Olympian. Like, I can ride, but it never really floated my boat. All I really wanted to do was make them really happy and send them off to work. Just make them look and feel like winners. And that's what I've always wanted to do. So now I just want to help you be able to do that and have it be easier. When I was braiding, I was always, you know, I wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. I wanted to preserve culture through video. But after I had braided for decades and I was ready to move on to making documentary films, I was trying to scout people to take my account. So I started teaching clinics. And when I started teaching clinics, I was freaking out because people didn't know basic things like pull saddle pad all the way into the pommel, open the stall door all the way. So I, you know, started collecting what is it that people think they know, what they need to know, what they want to know, you know, trying to figure out where are the holes. Why is it that practices that are standard in the upper levels were not being passed to the masses? So I was always standing on my ladder, studying the grooms, taking videos. And when I, you know, started teaching the clinics, I realized, oh my God, the culture that's dying is my own sound horsemanship. So I spun the lens around and I made a how-to braid video. And then I entered the product end of the industry and I started speaking at trade shows, and at the wholesale shows, I met the guys that make all the products. And, you know, I had multiple arguments, like to the mat arguments, we'll say vigorous discussions, where they insisted that it doesn't matter if you lather them up in salt. Like, if salt is pulling the oil out of a coat, I mean, if salt is pulling the oil, if If salt is pulling rust out of a hoof, how is it not pulling the oils out of the coat? But they all do it, all the big companies that I talk to. So it's like some truth they behold self-evident. So I was, debating with them, debating over years. And then I was like, wait a minute, like maybe, wait, what's happening here? And I was approached by a naturopathic vet that asked me if I wanted a shampoo. And I said, well, yes, I would love to braid clean manes, because when the hair is dirty, it's dry and it hurts my hands and it leads them to rub. And I didn't want them to rub. I wanted to braid clean manes and not have them rub. And by the way, those guys with the hat and the belt and the boots that are arguing with me, that's had my hands in horses' hair for 18 hours a day for decades on end, all I could think as they are talking to me is, with the whole getup, that they never carried a water bucket. Like, you know how you can tell these things? And so then that's when I backed it up and I said, well, something's going on. Like, we need a different strategy, because all of these, everybody has all the products and they have all the problems. So what if we could help the horses instead of deplete them, right? Because what does everybody always say? Oh, don't shampoo because it dries them out. But what if it was like therapy? And what if instead of having scratches, their legs were so healthy that the socks looked iridescent in one bath, right? This was a surprise to me. All I did was take the junk out and be really committed to using the best essential oils in the world, buying right from the farmer so it wasn't adulterated, buying the really good stuff and not letting the chemists and the manufacturers, convince me to do things differently. I tested everything on the horses and they told me what works. So a lot of the elements of my shampoo are kind of off the chart as far as what everybody else is doing. But I was like, no, that's what we're doing. So, this isn't just about shine. This is health, right? If the skin is healthy, the roots are healthy, and then the hair can be healthy. And what we see is shine. And it's a layered shine. It's not that flat shine like the sprays give you, right? Because what do the sprays use? The shine sprays. Like, what's the active ingredient in them? Does anyone know? Yeah, it's petroleum. They're generally petroleum based. So like, you strip the oils and then you coat the hair. I'm a braider. I don't want the hair coated, and then I don't want it suffocated either. So it can be better. We can do better. So this horse, a lot of people struggle with scratches, which in this case became systemic, right? So that it becomes infection. So this is, could start with a little crumb of a scab on the heel, and when it's not taken care of, or when you keep knocking the scabs off and re-exposing the vulnerable skin, you never want to knock the scabs off the scratches. Okay. You do want to dry the legs. That's your best defense, because wet skin is soft. Like, if you've ever had waterlogged feet from being in the pool or the ocean all day, and then you walk across a driveway with rocks, it really hurts, right? So what happens is the soft skin, wet skin is soft, and then the footing or the grass or shavings, whatever, will make these little micro abrasions, and that's where the fungus and bacteria enters the skin, and that's where we start to have the problems, especially in Florida, because the ground doesn't freeze. So there's even more stuff here. Plus the horse show's on top of more stuff. So this horse, I almost apologize for putting a picture of me, but it wasn't about me, but I was out of my tree because this mare, see her bumps? That was 3 months of being treated by a vet. And when I met her, because I was just traipsing around asking if anybody had problems, she was standing like this. She she didn't want you to touch her. Her whole body was swollen and she didn't even want to move and she didn't want you to touch her. And I came back the next day because I wanted to talk to them about, just make sure something, whatever, to help see how it was going. And look at her with a big smile on, like totally different beast. That's been my experience, that the bumps can go right down, even the ones that have chronic bumps. And I mean, hivey bumps, cruddy bumps. I've seen all kinds of bumps go right down in a bath. Like by the time the horse comes to the back to the grooming stall, or if like 80% down by then, and then if there's still a little bit by the morning, it's end of story and they're not wrestling anymore. So, I mean, she just humbled me and she's so pretty. Just look at that. 3 months of the vet. I had another guy, another groom was, had a condition like that. And I said, well, why don't you just give him a bath? They're like, oh, the vet. I don't know. He's still not comfortable. Why don't you just give him a bath? Oh, the vet. 3 months later, I stopped by. End of season. How's he doing? Oh, good. What'd you do? Oh, there was nothing to do, so I gave him a bath. This is Matilda. You might see her around. She's rather famous, and she shows here with, she's trained by Kara Cheska. And I took these pictures a couple years ago because I felt bad for her. And I was like, I know I can help her, but I don't know how to, it's hard to walk up to someone and say, that's gross. But I found my entry point, and I put this picture in the middle just so you can see that it's Kara, that it's really Matilda's tail. And then here she is now. And her fake tail looks like that too. Beautiful, white, snowy white, fluffy. And she doesn't even use the enzymatic spray. She only uses the shampoo. So this shampoo is different because it doesn't just clean, it helps them. It feeds the roots, moisturizes the skin, and that strengthens the strands too, because it's helping them. It's a natural moisturizer. So it's a different sensibility. And for the tails can be super easy to manage. It's a little bit mind-bending that the shampoos you use to whiten them and the sprays you use to detangle them can make them discolor, possibly. And what happens with the detangler? What happens when you use a detangler? Yeah, so it hangs dead, and then the next day the hair's sticking together, so you need more and more chemicals, so you create more and more buildup, and you're in this cycle of always needing to manage, right? Well, the trick is to not use all the stuff. One shampoo, dry the legs to help prevent the scratches, comb the tail wet. The way I like to comb the horse's tails, and I use a wide tooth comb, like a wide tooth comb from the dollar store, not from the tack shop, a really wide tooth comb, okay? To protect the length, I twist the tail. I learned that from a Costa Rican guy who had never taken care of horses before he went to the Pan Am Games, but he had this great trick. He twisted the tail. And also, by the way, he had the biggest tail at the Pan Am Games, and this mare with really long eyelashes. She was so beautiful. So I was like, what is going on over there? So anyway, twist the length and hold the bottom. And then with the wide tooth comb, I hold it maybe 4 inches from the bottom, and I gently, it's loose in my hand, I comb up to my grip, move my hand up, always start from the bottom up to your grip, move the grip up, start from the bottom up to your grip. If you ever hit a snag, start all the way underneath and come up again. Follow, organize to the root while it's wet, which seems counterintuitive, but what do women know about wet hair? I'm sorry? You're ripping the hair out either way otherwise, so when you twist it like that, it doesn't rip it all out. Right, so you're twisting to protect the length and holding it to support the strands, but Who's ever put wet hair in a ponytail and gotten a headache? Wet hair stretches, so it's more forgiving. So everyone says, oh no, we don't touch the tail, we don't touch. The shampoo has a conditioner in it, it's moisturizing. And by the way, when you talk to chemists about conditioners, the whole conversation hinges on how to get something to stick to the hair. I comb the tail while it's wet and brush it while it's dry.
So, but we also teach to twist it in when they're brushing it, to do the same way, to brush it out when it's dry, to do it the same way. Is that not good?
It wouldn't hurt, but I don't think you need to so much.
Okay. I just feel like they're ripping it out otherwise.
I think you could always pick the tails with your fingers, just separate it with your fingers. I think the big thing about using a brush on the tail, I'm a braider, so I'm in a hurry, I have to use a brush, is that the brushes that you want to use just the tip of the brush, just a few bristles. You don't want them to be raking through. Yeah. You don't want to be raking through the whole thing. You want to be just doing a little bit at a time. So if you hold it, it's just as, I think it use less of the brush at a time, I think is, but that, it can't hurt. Because wet hair stretches. So it's the most forgiving way to get through the tail. And then the shampoo is moisturizing. It has a conditioner. So I recommend after you bathe the tail, comb it while it's wet. And then when it dries, you can just shake shavings out for days, some say a week. Because what happens with the detanglers, it hangs dead and it sticks together. And when you get through this, it dries big and fluffy. So not only is it volumized, but it moves a lot. So that's really beautiful. And it also pulls the oils down the shaft to strengthen the strands when it's moving a lot. So now we're in a positive cycle and it's really easy to keep it clean. So I don't know if I finished saying what the chemists just want something to stick to the hair. And I'm a braider. I don't want anything to stick to the hair. I want it clean. So you can have it clarified, but also moisturized. So that just goes through because, people, it matters. Every little bit matters. It's not complicated, but it matters that you do each stage of the process. Twist, hold the bottom, work your way up. And if you haven't done it before, it might take a little bit of patience the first time, and then it will be really easy to get through. And then if, say, the tail gets muddy and you don't want to give them a bath, then this is an enzymatic spray. It's an enzyme. So all it does, it breaks the bond between the hair and the dirt. Doesn't dry them out, doesn't leave a yellow shadow. So if it's muddy or dusty, the dust doesn't really stick so much, but if it's muddy at the ring, you just spray and wipe. So that's good to have for special occasions. If it's too cold or it's muddy or you're in a hurry, it's very handy. And then it also can help with the really tough old stains. This is just the shampoo. So grays can shine. And interestingly, they were using my shampoo and then the trainer thought that it was expensive, which, by the way, I'm going to show you that it's actually cost effective, but he got the cheap stuff. And I went back to the ring like a week and a half later and he looked terrible. I didn't even believe it was the same horse, but it matters. But if they're moisturized, the stains don't really stick as much. And you can usually just slightly curry them off. If they're bathed like once a week, you can just brush or lightly curry the stains off. So, and they don't roll as much. If you have a tough old stain, you want to let it soak with this enzyme. It needs time to penetrate, dissolve the bond, and lift. But this tough old stain, she only used the shampoo. And by the way, that first picture, the before picture, after she had tried everything, was at the Ingate at Upperville. of all the horrors. Well, she tried everything, but you know what? If you keep washing and washing, it just drives the stain deeper sometimes. So she was really happy to let it be easier. And once you're ahead of the old stains, it's really easy to keep them clean. The really tough old stains, sometimes you need some time to get the enzyme to penetrate, or wash it a few times to get past the buildup, because sometimes it's just the buildup that keeps it from whitening. So you might find that you wash it 3 or 4 times in a row and it might not even make a big lather until you're past the buildup, and then it will come white. So this enzyme won't leave that yellow shadow, like you know how some of the stain sprays leave that yellow shadow, or the alcohol, and it won't dry them out, it won't make them slippery. The old stains need time. I would wash it a few times in a row, get past the buildup, and then when the tail is dry, because you don't want to dilute the enzyme, spray it. I would tie up the tail or the long manes, and so they have less surface area, and then keep spraying it so that it stays wet longer. It's about how long it's wet, not how often you spray it. It needs the time to do its work. So it might take a couple days working on it, and you might say, nothing's happening, and then the highlights come up, and then it will be bright white. So, but you can get a lot done with just the shampoo. And if you use the shampoo, you won't need much of the whitener, really. I recommend using the spray bottle, the opaque spray bottle, because you don't want to damage the enzyme with the light. You do want to use the Lucky Braids bottle and refill it with the gallons. When it's cold, the spray is great when it's cold, because you don't have to give them a whole bath. Any color. I was short-sighted in the name. It's not a bleach or detergent. It's an enzyme. So you can use it on any color to just spray and wipe. But for the old stains, like I said, you want to leave it wet for as long as you can to lift it. This on the left is what we call the Queen's treatment, because a groom came to work for Peter Wilde, who had worked for the Queen of England. And you can get the horses as clean as a bath, and they never get wet. The hair never even sticks together. And the way that you do it is you get hot water in a bucket, and you get a towel, wet the towel, wring it out, fold it into a pad. I have a pad there. And then you brush. I mean, I would curry and brush, get what you can off. But then every time you swipe the horse's body, you just go over the hot towel like this. You just groom like this. And then when that part of the towel is dirty, you refold it and keep going until you have to rinse the towel again, and then just keep going. And they will get so clean that nervous laughter ensues. Like you just won't believe it. And they never get wet. So it's really handy trick to have, because, people talk about animal welfare, but there's so many things, like when people just don't know, they do things. I mean, isn't that the story of Black Beauty? People do things that they don't realize are detrimental. Mm-hmm. So bathing horses in the cold, like, why do you warm them up? So you get them all supple, and then you put them under a cold hose. So it goes like this, and then he's going to get injured, because when your muscles are really tight, it's really easy, it sets you up for soundness issues. So if you do this, if you don't have hot water, you can get a heater and put it in a bucket. Don't put your hand in the water when that plugged in electric thing is in the bucket. Even if it's new, it's really not advisable. But if you have to warm up the water with an electric drop in the bucket heater, you do that. But you can be anywhere and get the horses really clean like that without making them stand under a cold hose, because that's, people don't know, and they feel like they need to get them clean, and but these are the kind of things we can share with the other people, right? On Lucky Braids, there's the grooming resource where I have I don't know, 80 published articles or something there, and this is one of the articles. So if you search luckybraids.com for bathing alternatives or the Queen's treatment, you can help other people help their horses. Sophia, did you have a question?
I have a horse going to the show this week. It's going to be incredibly cold.
Yeah.
And there's no access whatsoever to hot water. So would a Queen's treatment still work with medium temperature water?
Do you have electricity?
I could go to Best Buy or somewhere and buy a heater.
Do you have electricity?
At the horse show, yeah.
Yeah. So there are these heaters that it's like a metal piece, and you just put it in the bucket of water and it will heat the water in the bucket.
I have to shop for that before.
Yeah. What do they call those?
You might also the electric kettles too.
Yeah, that's another idea.
Because that gets us, and then you can add cool water to make it.
Yeah,
not
that probably
boiling hot.
that probably heats up faster,
Yeah.
like a tea kettle.
Yeah.
I think we have our one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Use it for tea.
Yeah, whatever it takes. Okay, so this is fresh off the press today. I didn't know what was going to happen. This horse is here in Wellington. It had a bladder infection or something, and it was just urinating so much. And that she tried everything. And I sometimes sell at the Swank Farmers Market, and her dad came up and he was like, "We have this problem. Can you come today?" I was like, "Okay." So anyway, that is so deep. I don't know if you can see how dry and deep that stain is. I wasn't sure. I mean, I've seen a lot of things happen, but it was so dry and so deep that I wasn't sure. But there we have it today. It's looking much better. It was not sunny out today, so you can't see the shine or anything, but the stain is definitely improved. And you see this black like that when the gray horses, when you see so much black like that, that's usually because that's a good indicator that the coat may be really dry because the hair's not lying down flat. So as soon as I walked in his stall, I knew this is, part of the problem. So I love people. You can always post on my website any pictures or videos you want. Anyway, this is a friend of mine and her clipped and shiny pony. She's so proud of Luna. And I left this just so you see that horse is clipped, the saddle. But, if you use the Lucky Braids before and after clipping, I have found that they don't get bumps. I've never known one to get bumps. The blades last a lot longer, like some people say 3 times, and they clip out beautifully. No corduroy, big shine. These I call dapple shadows, right? Those dapples, like on the chestnut, they'll come right out if the hair is moisturized. So everybody says, oh, dapples come from the inside, and I have found that you can wash them off. Like that's just dry, and they can come so much better with a little treatment. This horse that I will not name because everybody in the room has heard of him, they decided that they were going to save some money. That's what he looked like. He is like a chocolate bay. And 10 days later, he showed in a night class and was in the top 3, like a big night class, and was in the top 3 and looked respectable. So from that, I was like, you guys, what are you doing? Oh, we just thought, no, it matters. Like it's easier to do things right, or use the good stuff. It will save you a lot of trouble, because if that's what his side looked like, imagine what his legs look like and everything else. You're uphill. Rubs, spur rubs. I mean, okay, it helps if the leg is quiet. It really helps if the boots are clean. It helps if the boots don't have, some seams right there. But a lot of this is just being dry. And when I put the blankets on, I always leave like 4 or 6 inches in the chest, slack in the chest. You can put a bib, like an old inner bandage over it, and just, help keep it closed and create a little barrier there. But I always leave slack, because what happens when the horse lies down? What happens to his shoulders? They go up, right? And when the pressure is on the blanket, has pressure on the shoulders, then the tight clothes can inhibit the circulation. So then they're colder and they're also prone to injuries. So you want them to be comfy, but a lot of the blankets might have gussets, but they're low. So made for horses that are not galloping in their stalls, they're lifting their shoulders. So I try to leave slack. That helps. Having clean everything helps. But the horses that use my stuff, I never see rubs. And I've never seen them, the ones that have been using my stuff for a long time, I've never seen them leave a patch on the side either, even in the jumpers. So we can do better. So this was it, the National Horse Show. Of course, vigorous currying every day helps promote shine. And then just give them a bath before and after with Lucky Braids. And can be comfy in his skin. People say, oh, can we braid with it? Well, yeah, you can. And, braiders, it's a hard job. And so sometimes braiders have strong personalities and they get worried about things. But these horses all, use Lucky Braid shampoo. And Lafitte has been Horse of the Year 2 years in a row. So he gets braided and he always looks beautiful. The girl on the bottom, I just think she has the best jumper braids in the land, and I forget her name. But the reason why I put her there is because braiding is really about line. It's about creating an optical illusion to make the neck look longer and rounder. So the most important element of the braid job is the bottom line. You want that line to be perfectly clean no matter what's happening with the crest or the hairline. So I just thought she deserved a shout out there. Bugs. So, my mom taught me how to pick brains, or she encouraged me to always you want to do something good. Who knows about that? And, always trying to learn. And one day I had a handyman in my kitchen and I'm like, what does he know? What does he know? And I realized that he used to have over 400 head of cattle. I'm like, how can you care for so many animals? He's like, when we go out, we look for the one cow that has all the bugs, because that one will be sick. Might not even have symptoms, will be sick. I was like, what? You have all those cows and only one has flies? What is that? And then one day I was hanging out on an aisle with a great groom friend of mine, which, by the way, some of the things I'm sharing here is because my great groom friends have figured it out, and then I get to put it all together and share with you. So we're watching the horses, we're sitting on trunks, killing time, and the horse on the ties has all the flies on one leg. I said, what's going on? He said, oh, that's his bad leg. I was like, well, does he have a cut? No, that's his bad leg. Is he sore? No, that's his bad leg. Something's happening, right? The bugs like to go towards the weak. I don't know if it's, pheromones, heat. We don't know why, but in my experience, they aren't such a bother with the Lucky Braid shampoo. These horses both live out in Florida, And, you know, if you go on my testimonials page and you scroll down, there's, I don't know, over 100, maybe 150 people have posted pictures, and not one horse is lifting his tail. Not lifting his tail. So, you know, I don't know what's happening, but they can definitely be comfortable and it can be easier. So, all right. This looks like a lot of numbers, but I just want to prove to you that this shampoo is not expensive. And I can do this for any barn. I will go and do a cost analysis of the system that you're using and see, you know, what you're actually paying now versus what you could on this system where you don't even have to bathe as much and you don't need all the products. Because yeah, the shampoo's about $90, but you're paying more than that for the medicated, the whitening, the detangling, the conditioning, the scratches, medication, blah, blah, blah. And then the whitener's like 100, but you don't need much of it if you use the shampoo. And the shampoo's super concentrated. In less than an ounce can bathe a horse. So this is like 130, 40 baths. Anyway, when I went through and combed through exactly how much they use and how often of the daily whitening, medicated, stain remover, detangler, spot wash, blah, blah, how much they use per treatment, how many times they use it for the horses with scratches, the gray horses, the grays with scratches, and then the regular. As opposed to the Lucky Braids system, in the private barn, they were where, you know, the guys are a little more tightly managed or more experienced, maybe. They were saving between, per week, per horse, between $8.84 and $18.77 per horse per week. So between $19 and $9 per horse per week in the private barn. And then when we went to a big barn where the horses get bathed more and there's, you know, more going on, they save per horse between, and also probably using, not necessarily less expensive products, but they're saving between 18 and, you know, $250 per horse per week. But if you have 50 horses, even $250 adds up a week. So, and these are super honest numbers. Like, I figured they'll use more than I recommend, but we can make an argument for being cost effective. This is one of my issues I see so often people aren't paying attention to, and it never was like this in the old days. We never went to the ring with manes like this. Like, it's so easy to maintain manes, but it takes just a little bit of management, and it really matters when even, you know, if you're going just to get in the ring on Tuesday or whatever, and the horse is well turned out, like, you know, it feels better, the horse feels better, and it's like, there's a silent language to turn out. You are speaking volumes about yourself, about the horse, about the barn, and you know, you may not realize all of the things you're saying to the people that are, you know, watching, but if you go to the ring or send a horse to the ring with a mane that is not beautifully manicured, laying over flat and straight, it's a bummer. It's really a bummer. Someone along the line is being like, oh, you know, it can be better. It's so much easier. So some things you can do to make it easy for the manes to lie flat, even if they have a cowlick, even if they're thick, everybody can have a beautiful mane. This horse, he has a damp towel. He's waiting to go out, and he has a damp towel over his neck. So, and this is Ephraim, and he tucked it in. I never seen it tucked like that, which I thought was so clever. So what you do is the weight and the moisture just helps hold the hair down. And then when you take it off, you just kind of pull it and slide it in the direction of the mane, and it just looks painted on. Looks so beautiful, and it's easy. Of course, it helps when you give a bath, comb the mane while it's wet. That's a good start for getting it to lie flat. And then before he goes out to work, you can either use a wet brush to brush under and over and get it to lie flat. And then if you use the towel, it's just like so beautiful. Like it's so beautiful. And then this is Lily. She's at Trelawney. And I just wanted you to see that to manage the mane when you're shortening it, if you stand at the horse's hip and look up the neck, that's the most critical angle for seeing if the bottom line of the mane is clean. You want the bottom line of the mane to be clean, and you don't want it to look cut, right? Because if you cut it, it's going to, when the horse goes, it's going to fall in clumps and it looks cut. We want like a clean line. We're creating an optical illusion. Like we want a clean line. So if you stand at the horse's hip on the ground, you can see that line, because if you stand off to the side or up above, it might look really clean. And then when you step down, you're like, oh, it could be better. So that little thing will help you get that better. And if you're tempted to cut the mane, what I use is a clipper blade, an 84 AU clipper blade, the big clipper blade. I like that one because it's sharp between the teeth, not like the solo comb. You can't tease and cut. With the clipper blade, you can tease and cut all in one stroke. So what I do is you get the mane to lie flat because you're training it and maintaining it every day. And then you just tease up and cut. And you can go up 1.5 inches or 2, depending, just go up and cut. You just grab a few pieces up and cut if you don't want to pull it. And then it's tapered on the bottom so it will fall looking natural. So, okay, it's a clean line, so you know it's shortened, but it won't clump. Any questions? Yeah.
Do you recommend, like, do you find, I know there's different ways to braid the mane.
We're going to do this with the microphone. Otherwise, we don't have it on the video.
Do you recommend, I know some people prefer the method of braiding it over, but don't leave it too long, or using like the European method of getting it over with the braiding band. Like, do you recommend braiding it over or just using the towel or the brush? Or
that's a good question. It depends on how much help it needs. If it's a really big mane with coarse hair that's very far from being in line, you probably want to put braids in it. And if it's a big mane, you can leave in the braids because maybe it has enough hair that it doesn't matter if it loses a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing that I realized is even if horses don't rub, when I was braiding them for a season, they always had less hair at the end of season than they did at the beginning of season. And I was like, but they don't rub and they don't leave the braids in. And I was like, what is that? What is that? And then I found out that when the hair is kinked, and this is important for the Iberian horses, when the braids are left in and the hair is kinked, the oils don't move down the shaft. That's why frizzy hair is dry and nappy hair gets hot oil treatments. And actually Indians do hot oil treatments even if they have straight hair, because when the hair is kinked into the braids, the oils don't drop down to fortify the hair. So that's why I'm not a fan of leaving braids in.
Right.
But if they have too much hair, and you need to manage it, even still, I would put training braids in, or even just leave the braids in, pull the, if they go to the ring, just take out the yarn and leave the braids in overnight. It will just very quickly help train it over. And if you do big braids, that's okay, except that keep in mind that the hair, the skin near the withers stretches the most. So if the braids are really far apart near the withers, when he puts his head down, it's going to pull and it will pull the hair out maybe.
I noticed that, yeah. I've seen that, like taking out, if you make them too wide by the withers, there's like, the edges are very, the hair is just sticking up. It's like totally torn out.
Yeah, and it looks like drapes.
Yeah.
Curved like drapes instead of flat. Yeah. So I'm not really, I understand some dressage horses go with like the doorknob braids, but in my experience, that's not really conducive to flexing. And also, there's two things about the braids. One, they create a line to create an optical illusion to make the neck look longer and rounder, right? Does anyone know what they look for when they're diving for treasures in the ocean? How they find the treasures in the bottom of the sea where everything is covered with growth, everything is the same color? Yeah. Well, sometimes they have tools which would help, but
the thing of the sand.
Reflection.
they look for a straight line because it doesn't exist in nature. So this is one of the reasons why, if you can peg that clean bottom line to the braids, people don't know why the horse looks fabulous, but their eye is drawn to the braids. They're drawn to the line, which makes the neck look longer and rounder with the visual rhythm that draws your eye down the neck. So when you have big clumpy braids, it's not drawing your eye down the neck. And a lot of those horses are very roly-poly, which I know is part of the goal. But when the braids are so big, they just look thick instead of elegant. My opinion, I know the thing about dressage is it's very Eurocentric. So everybody thinks what happens in Europe is great. But like, I come from a world where like braids are it. And that's the braiders in the hunter jumper end of the industry have elevated the technique so that we can really perfect that bottom line so that the braids stay tight, flat, and straight all day. So, there's got to be some room where we can take what we've learned and with the dressage style. People said, I took care of some horses from Barbados at the Pan Am Games and when they were in the Dominican Republic. And the trainer was Swedish and the girls were from the Bahamas, but from Barbados. And their mother was Swedish and their father was he was Bayesian. That's what they say, Bayesian. I learned. Anyway, I'm at the Pan Am Games, right? I hadn't done dressage horses in decades, and they were like, well, you have to do dressage braids. You have to do dressage braids. And I'm like, well, I'd like to do what I'm good at. And they said, well, and they were pressuring me. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to do what I know works, because Robert Dover, Betsy Steiner, they had all told me they preferred my braids when I was braiding dressage horses at Devon, but that they didn't have help that knew how to do it well. So they would go with the more European braids. So I got up at 1 to braid. It was so hot. I opened the trunk and the sweat was just pouring like this, right? Like 105 degrees at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I braid and I put in bigger braids than I would on the hunters or jumpers, like a little bigger, but not clumpy, just like balanced. And when I took the horse out of the barn in the morning, there were all these barns and people were flooding out screaming, Divina! Divinas, like divine, you know? I was like, okay, I think I got away with it. I think I got away with it, even if they have something to say. Everyone seems to be impressed. And then also, you know, another braider went to Ireland, to Dublin, and she did hunter braids on the horses there, and people respond to them. So dressage horses, like, it's okay if you wanted to do less than, you know, dressage styles kind of flow a lot. Some years they have 15 braids, some years they have 6. So I think if you do what looks really good, and primary note, don't have them be jiggling, because that really distracts your eye from the horse's balance. So did that answer the question? Anyway, okay, so we talked about the bottom line being really important, and the tails. Does anyone want to look like they're wearing a wig? You see it all the time. That this one is not, I don't know if that's fake or not. It probably isn't, but you see that with the fake tails a lot. Like, you know, it's okay to trim the tail a little bit, because you want it, it will look thicker if it's blunter. And if you don't want it banged, you can splay it out over your knee or a trunk, and you just cut it in a U shape. But if it's not stringy, it looks thicker. So I'm a big fan of cutting tails, and I cut the equitation horses' tails, the hunters' tails. I want the tail to look good, and this does not look good. This is a little bit more of a subtle thing that I want to share with you that I learned from, you know, working with the Monaco back in the day. And I don't see anybody doing it now, and I think it makes such a big difference. When the horse goes, he picks his tail up, right? So if you cut the tail straight across and he picks his tail up, what happens? It goes like this. So the angle's like that, okay? And then when the horse goes and the angle is like that, what do you think the effect is on his frame, or your impression of how he's going?
I stare at it.
You would be disappointed. Do you know why?
My eye gets strong.
Once you know this, you'll never be able to unknow it, that's for sure. So when the horse is going and he's collected, but his tail is like this, he doesn't look like he's coming up underneath himself. He looks like he's dragging his hind end up, because the angle is dragging out behind him. So when you bang the tail, if you simulate how he goes with when he's working, so you can do that one of 2 ways, which I'll tell you. Then when you cut it straight, when he goes, it will compensate ahead of time, so that when he goes, the tail will hang parallel to the ground. And it's one of those things. You don't know why the horse looks fabulous. Wow, it's like so fancy. You don't know, but it's because that little angle in his tail brings him up and makes him look more underneath himself. And so the way to cut the tail, to dock the tail, and again, styles change for the length, but sometimes the dressage horses are shorter, again, just to accentuate that frame so that they look more underneath themselves. So the way that you cut the tail is one of 2 ways. 3. You want to have the tail up before you cut it, right? Of course, the hair is going to be all organized before you cut it. So you can either roll up a towel and put it under his dock, and then pull the tail down and cut it, right? So it's in the position like he would go. Or you could put a crop under his tail, but that's less comfortable and maybe more of a discussion. So then you know, comb, and you have that in there, and then you cut straight across. Or the Karen Golding old school European way is that you take the tail all organized and you pull it under the belly, and then cut straight across under his belly. So all those ways work. I would use the towel or pull it under his belly. But just that one little thing will make a big difference. And like this, you know, if you just cut that, it looks like a jumper. So if you cut that so that it was crisp, it's fancy, right? It still looks natural, but fancy. Any questions? So many problems can be solved if we just dry the legs. I mean, bone dry, not like dry. I mean, clean towel. Always use a clean towel. You have one towel just for the legs because it's super clean. Dry them. I like to vigorously dry them with the towel because it gets the circulation going. It's good for the soundness. If you just put them in front of a fan, it might do the trick, but in Chinese medicine, which is one of the oldest and most reliable medicines, they say wind bad, like pathogens are in the wind. You don't want to get a cold back. You don't want to, it's better if you towel the legs, but life gets in the way, right? I understand, but if you can like have your goal or your ideal to actually towel the legs, or at least initially, and then, if you want to finish with the fan, it's helping them. You're helping them. So dry the legs and comb the tail wet. Like that's it. That's it. And all my products come with a love guarantee. I don't mean like, oh yeah, it's okay. No, if you're not totally psyched, I will refund you in full no matter where you buy it. So, and if you have any issues, it's not working the way you think, call me and we can talk it through. I'm so glad that everybody came here today and shared, and I'm thrilled. So any more questions? Yes.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on long-term, like European style tail extensions versus the type you can buy in a tack shop and just put on for the show arena?
Long-term tail extension?
Sorry. Yeah, we have a woman who comes and braids these extensions into the tails, and they stay in for like 4 to 6 months. She calls them European style tail extensions.
Yeah, I think there's different disciplines that do that. How's the hair? She uses a fat braid to braid it in?
Yeah. Just sews it in. And thank you.
Sews it in?
Yes. Braids it in and then like uses some neat thread to just keep it secure. But uses a bunch of like little clumps instead of one large one. And
a lot of little clumps?
A lot of little clumps of hair. Yes.
To braid it in?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like secured to the dock with a French braid?
Yeah, kind of, but they're really long. Yeah, to the tailbone. In my experience, I had one horse that had them, and it didn't really affect his tail while he had them in, but then it kind of ruined it after he took it out because I didn't want to keep it in and like renew it. And then it was in those little braids for like 4 months, so it spent a couple weeks being like really frizzy and dry and like all like kinky. And I'm wondering like if you have an opinion on those types versus the short term, like the ones you just put in for the show arena.
So you're taking care of horses that wear these?
One of mine did, yes.
And somebody comes to put them in? Could you learn how to do it?
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't have to stay in. Because we know that the oils don't move down the shaft. That's why the hair broke, and because the oil can't go over the braids.
Right.
So if you learned how to do it, and then you could take it in and out as needed, maybe option. It's probably not rocket science. Someone will probably help you learn, or
yeah. I mean,
I'll help you figure it out. Like, I don't have an opinion on it. I just know that if you leave the braids in, the hair gets compromised.
I think the whole idea is that you don't have to touch it, so it just sits there for 4 years. 4 to 6 months and it's there, so you just leave it in and go into the show ring. And horse tails are great all the time.
Until.
Until you have to sit on it.
Yeah. You know, yeah, I understand the convenience, and I understand that not everybody would be good at putting them in, because you definitely don't want it shaking around. You want it solid to the dock. But I think if you were able to give the hair a break, it might be another option.
Yeah.
Definitely leaving the braids in is going to dry the hair out and make it prone to breaking.
My question's about shampooing the tail, and I hardly ever do it. But when I go to do it, of course, on the tailbone, there seems to be a lot of grease buildup or oil buildup and flakiness, and I find that really hard to get wet and shampoo that deep and right onto the tail. What am I missing?
You're finding it hard to get the shampoo to take the
or even get the
grease?
hair wet enough for the and
because it has so much oil in it.
I think so. I think that's why.
Struggling to saturate the dock is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
See, Ruthann, sometimes it doesn't help to want to do things better all the time. So it's so dirty, it's hard to get the soap to clean it.
But it's even hard to get it wet enough that the soap can.
You have to wash it a few times in a row. It
That's all you
happens
have- yeah,
sometimes
just
when it's really dirty, it doesn't even lather. And you may
Yeah.
find that when you're initially getting through some of the buildup from the detanglers, that it might not even lather until it does. But just wash it a few times and then it will be, you just have to get
Keep
through
getting it-
some of that.
Like,
And by the way, I find that if you keep the hair and skin clean with the good stuff, that you can help the tail, help the legs, right? If you, okay, say it's been very wet and the horse is walking a lot in the footing of the whatever paths, whatever, it's getting scrubbed a lot in the wet because you have to get to the ring and it's been pouring or muddy or whatever. I consider that a little uphill for the scratches, right? You know that they're prone to scratches on that day. So I would bathe them like to give the skin a boost if you can before they start that, but be sure they're totally dry before they go out on their journey. And then wash it, even if you wouldn't necessarily wash the legs, wash them to help the skin. Last year, a big barn in Grand Prix Village was using my stuff, and I came back to check, and I said, "How's it going?" And one guy says, "Oh, my horse has scratches." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Well, come see." So I went in, and there was one teeny weeny little crumb. I was like, "What happened?" He's like, "Well, he started, so I gave him a bath." And they never blew up. He knew not to take the scabs off. You don't want to knock the scabs off when they have scratches. But it never became an issue. So sometimes for the tail or the legs or, for the clipping, you can use the shampoo as therapy. It's a different concept, different strategy, different ingredients. But I find that clean skin can be healthier. So now we can help them. So you can, just wash it more and it'll be easier to keep clean.
Are there more questions?
Yeah.
So we work for Betsy Steiner, and she had a big bottle of this shampoo in our wash rack, and she had kind of told us like not to try it yet because I guess she was like told that it was like supposed to be used in a very specific manner, and it's like, don't try it, we got to get it from the girl. So I was just gonna ask, like, is there a specific way you're supposed to use it? Or
I saw her at the Christmas party at Horse, of course, and I told her I would come talk to people to help optimize usage. So I'm that person. And it's really easy. Dry the legs, comb the tail wet. And, you know, cost is an issue. So all you do is one pump for 2 or 3 gallons of water. That's the big thing, is you don't need very much of it. That's, yes. You can also put it on straight if you like. It's very thin. It's, you know, you can spread it easily, but it is also super concentrated. So that's not like other shampoos. So you can put it on straight on the legs or on the tail. So I like to get in and scrub and exfoliate the tail and the mane. You can put it on straight, but you can also just use one pump. So it's really 1 ounce for 2.5 or 3 gallons of water, and that's plenty. So that's the whole idea. She just dry the legs, comb the tail wet. 1 pump per 2 or 3 gallons of water.
Is it tiger tongue sponge okay to use?
I think so, but not on the heels.
But out of the bucket onto the
Yeah, it's okay. That's fine.
More questions?
Yeah. Sorry. These are good questions.
What are your thoughts on when people swear that you should wash legs every day? I know top barns that wash legs every single day with ivory. In my barn, we just use it if they're going to get wrapped or if their legs are dirty. We don't have any fungus. But there are some people that swear you have to wash legs every day to prevent fungus.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's a no-go, but I've heard top grooms
I'd like
swear
to know
by
what
it.
people's experience is with washing their horses every day with ivory.
I've heard it strips the oils, and then they're more prone to fungus.
When I don't hate it. Like I've never seen problems on my horse's skin from ivory.
Have you ever had problems with your horse's skin?
No.
Okay. How often do you bathe?
Once a week or twice.
Okay.
Depends on how often, how dirty, and how dirty, but usually at least once a week.
But your horse lives out.
Yes.
He has a run-in all year in Florida. So he's a different constitution than a horse that comes here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, he's already toughened up to the sun. So that's a little different. You know, I have had this discussion many times, and it's usually around, you know, it's cheap. And then I come and I say, but the cost, the other costs, and then I come back at the end of season and I realize this one's been being treated by the vet for this long. This one's, you know, maybe some people get away with it, but it can also set them up for being prone to problems.
Yeah,
I know because they live where there's the black sand,
just like top
dust.
show barns, top grooms,
Did-
like 6 days a week, the legs get washed with ivory.
Because they go out.
I guess so. Turn out riding, just in general. They think it like removes footing and
Yeah,
stops
sometimes that
fungus,
footing
but-
will stick. You know, I know with some of the showgrounds, not necessarily here, but around, like you come out and the legs are just coated with whatever they've coated the show ring with.
Yeah.
You know, so that may be one of the reasons that the show barns.
Yeah, and when you walk over all those bridle paths and by the canals, and that's really dirty, of course. That's why they do it also.
Like where like you try to just wash with water and it's just like it's still there. Yeah, exactly. But
You know, it's not my favorite. I mean, you're taking all the natural defenses off. So if you're moisturizing without coating the hair and the skin, but you're actually like supporting healthy skin, then maybe the dirt isn't going to stick as much. Or you could, this spray, they say it also helps repel some dirt. I haven't tried it myself, but some people, Collie, if you know Collie, he puts it in the wash when with the shampoo, and he says they come out shellacked and the dirt doesn't stick. So I think that the dirt can maybe stick less with just the shampoo, but you know, I think we don't need to be always stripping their oils. I do know that some ponies have gotten washed every single day, all season with my shampoo, and they still shine in at the end. So, you know, everybody has their routine, and it's for whatever reasons. But
You should be there.
that's any other questions?
Oh man.
Oh,
All good.
So when you use the shampoo and you've got a nice clean tail, you don't need to use any other sprays for it when you're combing it. It'll just like glide through the comb. Okay, perfect.
It's crazy, right? It's
Perfect.
mind bending.
Yeah.
You don't need the sprays.
Okay.
And actually that's a good point, because one, I'm happy to, if you want, anybody wants or knows somebody who wants me to come and do a cost analysis of the system they're using now and what they would be paying if they use my system. And then also I will come anywhere in Wellington or Ocala and train the grooms in English or Spanish how to use it, because especially if grooms are proud, they want to do what they know. And it is mind bending that you don't need whitening shampoo and spray detangler. So I can explain the whole reasoning and sensibility and help them be proud to do something different.
And just one more thing about the tail. Oh, sorry. But when you said to wash it a few times, you mean like shampoo, rinse, shampoo, like all in the same session?
Yeah, sometimes I like scrub, rinse, scrub, rinse to get through that first buildup.
All right.
And you can let it sit a minute if you want, but it takes a few washes to get through all the product that's built up.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's late.
People want to leave.
Related to the question about washing their legs every day, because I was grooming for a big show barn that did tell us to do that every single day. Now I don't do that. I don't see that they're having more issues now that I'm not washing them every day. But I wanted to see what your thoughts are on clipping the legs, because a lot of people say when you're clipping them, you're taking away their natural defense. But you know, I've heard like, okay, if they're used to being clipped a lot on their legs, you want to keep it like that. If they're used to not being clipped, what are your thoughts on clipping the legs?
Well,
to keep them healthy?
there's thoughts on why you should clip the legs and why you shouldn't clip the legs. What concerns me is when you see those pink legs, like if you're seeing the pink skin, it's bald, like it's getting sunburned. I've seen a pony that got clipped and went to the ring, and she came back like she was so sunburned. Her whole body was swollen. So like, it's not just the dirt, it's the sun. So, maybe clip, but don't take all the hair off, because when the legs are fire red, they're hot. And then they're going to be easily irritated, because what happens if skin is dry and you itch it hurts more, right? Like dry skin is easily irritated. So you can set them up for problems by exposing them to the sun. So if somebody did want to clip the legs a lot, maybe don't make them bald, and maybe be toweling vigorously and brushing lots to keep the oils replenished and boosted, and all of that. As far as washing the legs also, because I know that very fine black dusty sand here can be problematic. A couple years ago, I actually added a smidge of lather to the shampoo, because the guys were saying that it rinses in a snap. So that's the good news. But they felt like it wasn't getting up and sticking on the skin enough to get that dust out. So they had me adjust the lather just a little bit so that it would get in and like get to the skin there on the heels to help them. So, trainers have their preferences, and, everybody has their reasons. So that's okay. I would say if you're told to clip a lot, at least towel and brush a lot to help the skin.
More questions? Well, then, if anyone has questions, you can ask them later. But thank you so much.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm really glad you came. I'm really glad that you stayed and focused the whole time. I'm really excited that you're going to be able to be deliberate about your choices with your horses. I post a lot of tips at luckybraids.com. There's a whole grooming resource with articles you can share. And then on Instagram, it's on the back of the flyer I sent you. Instagram, it's Top Turnout. Facebook, Lucky Braids. And then also, HorseGrooms is an incredible resource for information and celebrating grooming and all that it entails. So, and also Plaid Horse to keep up on that. There's flyers back there if somebody wants to host a clinic. Be sure to contact me, take my number down, call me anytime if you have questions or you want me to come to the barn or you have an issue. Anytime you can reach out to me. My cell number is on the back of the flyer that you have. So put that in your phone. And also there's some eWell cards back there if you had any thoughts more on that. But again, thank you. And please follow at least Top Turnout on Instagram and message me at will, because I'm so glad you came. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Good night.
Good night.